Welcome to 25.2 team. We've got a repeat of 22.3, so we've got various pulling options, skipping things and thrusters going on. First thing I want to answer in this video is which version of this workout should I do? There's a few different answers here based on where you're at in terms of how much crossfitting stuff you have done and how many of these things on the board are available to you. There is a photo of this whiteboard in the email. All right, refer back to the photo, it might be really useful. Thing one, I would say, looking at this RX versus scaled versus foundation option, are you able to access gymnastics option number one? So do you have a jumping pull-up for scaled? Do you have a pull-up for RX? If the answer to that question is yes, particularly if you're entered at games.crossfit.com, I think there's real value in you doing the hard thing. Now, for some of you watching this video, that might be 2 or 3 reps across a 12-minute window. But if that's going to be 2 or 3 pull-ups in a workout for the first time in your life, it's a pretty cool time to get that PB. Ditto, if that's going to be 2 or 3 really hard jumping pull-ups for that scaled workout, it's a pretty cool time to hit that PB. If that harder pulling variation is inaccessible, we could look at using the foundations bent over rows, which turns into pull-ups and then turns into jumping pull-ups and then turns into jumping chest to bar. Or we can look at using that scaled option of jumping pull-ups and that turns into pull-ups and then turns into chest to bar. So still some really hard pulls there available to give you a little bit more work to get done here. On to the double under thing. If you've picked a hard pulling option, it is very possible you don't get to the skipping or the thrusters, so they become irrelevant to you. If you've picked a pulling option where we're going to get through our 21 reps of either pull-ups or jumping pull-ups or bent over rows, then your choice becomes around the skipping thing. Do I have a double under? Again, just like the pulling, if you can do 1 double under and you can do 1 pull-up, I don't think there's any reason you wouldn't do this as written. Ditto in scaled, if you've got those jumping pull-ups and you can single under, I take the scaled option. For foundations, you've got a choice of single unders or we can do jumping jacks instead. We then hit our thrusters. Realistically, if you're at the point where you're making choices about this workout around how hard this pulling and this skipping option is, the weight on the thruster is probably not going to be the sticking point for most of you watching. At scaled, we're looking at a 20 or a 30 kilo barbell to open, ladies, men. Foundations is 15 or 20. RX, you're looking at 30 or 43 kilos for that first barbell. I'd back most people watching this video to get a rep done on that barbell, particularly if you're accessing the harder pulling options earlier on in the workout. So really, I'll be picking which version I'm doing based on the pulling options and the skipping, knowing that I can probably get 1 thruster done at a time if I need to move through it. 12 minutes sounds like a long time when this workout was announced. In reality, most people watching are not going to get this done inside 12 minutes, all right? Where most of us are going to get stuck on one of these pulling variations or the weight of that barbell at some point, and that is totally cool, right? So which version should I do? I think ultimately, if you've got 1 or 2 reps of the hard pull and the skipping thing, pick the harder version of the workout. If you want more fitness, you could look at using that scaled or foundations version. Thing 2 then, strategy. Even the people watching this that have got plenty of pull-ups, plenty of chest to bars, plenty of bar muscle-ups. In fact, even the people watching this that could do 15 unbroken bar muscle-ups, we want to think about breaking both the gymnastics and the barbell early doors, all right? There is no need to hang on for 21 pull-ups or 21 thrusters in round 1. There's no need to hang on to this round of 18. There's no need to hang on to this round of 15. If you're in the boat where this pulling and this barbell is hard, you're going to be putting the bar down or coming off the pull-up bar relatively regularly anyway. That'll take care of itself, right? It's become a strength workout for you. If you're able to do some work here, we want to be thinking about how much pulling and thrustering we have to do in total and think about coming off the pull-up bar, maybe breaking that 21 into 3 or 4 sets. Even if I could do 21 unbroken, knowing that later on I've got to hit an 18 chest to bar, and that is a harder pull. And then later I might even be going for my first bar muscle up or even a bigger set of bar muscle ups, all right? Little breaks up here is going to pay dividends down here when the workout's really going to get to town. Final thing on the strategy, with that barbell, I'd be looking to, again, break it into probably a little bit less frequently than the pull-up bar. Dropping down from here versus putting a barbell down, that jump is way smaller than the clean I have to do on the barbell. So looking at 2 or 3 sets on those thrusters. Could be more sets, absolutely, if that bar is heavy for you. But even for those of us with lots and lots of thrusters, I don't think there's any harm in me breaking those 21s into 2 and my 18s into 2 to set me up to try and get my 60 or 42.5 kilo barbell done in as few sets as possible. Skipping is skipping. If you break it again into 1 or 2, 3 sets, like it's not a drama.